How Bell's palsy disrupts communication, the science behind facial expression. Let's understand. The face is our most expressive instrument. With single raise of an eyebrow or the curve of a smile, we can say things that words never could. But what happens when half that orchestra goes silent? That's what Bell's palsy does. It suddenly paralyzes one side of the face, leaving not just the muscles weak, but communication itself disrupted. Today, let's dive into the Bell's palsy affects the way a person connects, expresses, and communicates, and what's really happening beneath the skin. Let's first talk about the facial nerve, the communication highway. To understand Bell's palsy, we need to meet the star of the show, the facial nerve, also known as seventh cranial nerve. It starts deep inside the brainstem, travels through a narrow bony tunnel into the skull called as the facial canal, and then emerges just behind the ear. From there, it fans out like a tree across the face. Its five major branches: temporal, zygomatic, buccal, mandibular, and cervical. Each control a group of muscle that let us blink, smile, frown, and even flare our nostrils. But the facial nerve isn't just a motor cable. It also carries taste sensation from the front two-thirds of the tongue, controls some salivary gland, and even help the tiny stapedius muscle in your ear dampen loud sound. In short, it's the nerve of expression and subtlety, the biological foundation of face-to-face communication. Next comes your mind muscles, the emotional amplifiers. Now, let's talk about these muscles. These muscles are commanded by the nerve which we just talked about, the facial nerve. The mimetic muscles, also called as muscles of facial expression, unlike most skeletal muscles attached to the bone, move the facial skin. And that's why whenever this muscle will contract, your skin will move and your facial expression will occur. That means when they contract, they move the skin itself. Sculpting expression, wrinkling your face, and micro movements that make your emotion visible. These muscles are fast, thin, and delicate, designed not for strength but for precision and nuance. Each twitch, each asymmetric contraction is the part of facial language we use every moment, often without saying a word. When we talk, these muscles synchronize with our speech, adjusting the tone, rhythm, and social meaning. A smile softens a statement. Raised brows turn a question into curiosity. The face literally choreographs the communication. But then comes the bad part, the Bell's palsy, when this conductor falls silent. Bell's palsy happens when this integrate system is suddenly interrupted. The cause is often linked to a viral inflammation, sometimes from the herpes simplex virus and sometimes to some mild viruses, that causes the facial nerve to swell inside its bony canal. Since the canal is rigid and narrow, even slight swelling compresses the nerve fiber, cutting off signals between the brain and facial muscles. The result? Flaccid paralysis on one side of the face. The eyebrow droops, the eyelid may not close, the corner of the mouth falls, speech becomes slurred, eating or drinking can be messy, and perhaps most distressing, expression becomes frozen. Imagine trying to smile, but only one half of your face responds, or speaking while one side of your lips can't seal properly. Suddenly, the physical part of communication, which humans rely on heavily for emotional nuance, is gone. The body language that usually says "I am happy," "I'm listening," or "I understand" disappears. This leads to communication breakdown beyond your muscles. Bell's palsy doesn't just affect movement, it affects meaning. Facial expressions are a huge part of human communication. In fact, study shows that up to 70% of emotional meaning in face-to-face interaction comes from non-verbal cues, which are tone, gestures, facial movements. So when one side of the face can't move, listeners might miss emotion. A person may sound cheerful but appear blank or even upset. This disconnect can lead to frustration, embarrassment, and social withdrawal. It's not that people with Bell's palsy can't feel emotion. It's that their emotional display system is temporarily offline. And communication, after all, is a two-way process. It's not only about words, it's about connection. But there's a path to recovery and hope. The good news is, most people with Bell's palsy recover, often within weeks to months. As inflammation subsides, nerves signals return and the facial muscles slowly regain tone and symmetry. Rehabilitation, including facial retraining and physiotherapy, helps guide muscles back into coordinated movement and prevent unwanted synkinesis where muscle starts working out of sync. It's a beautiful reminder that even when communication flatters, the body has a remarkable capacity to heal because expression, like emotion, always finds a way back. So if you found this breakdown helpful, hit like and subscribe for more deep dives into how our nervous system shape the way we move, feel and connect. Until next time, keep your expressions alive in every sense of the word.